13 minutes after the hour, y'all. All right, so listen. So following our, I cannot say that.
Say what?
The state of Iowa. Did I say it right?
Iowa.
Okay. New Hampshire, Nevada, Bernie Sanders appears to be the Democratic frontrunner. Now, if Sanders, we got Glennon Threatt on the phone. Glennon, good morning.
Good morning, Ricky.
Hey, listen, man. If Sanders wins the Democratic nomination, do you think that he can beat Trump? His rival candidates are not sure. Elizabeth Warren and Buttigieg, they saying that he can't win. First of all, good morning, and let us know what you think about this whole political landscape right now. Just go and bring us up to speed.
Well, first of all, good morning to the radio audience. I think, Ricky, the thing that concerns me the most about Sanders is that he does look like he is a presumptive front runner right now. We have the election in the primary in South Carolina tomorrow. We have debates tomorrow night. And so the question now becomes whether or not Sanders can broaden his base without losing his core. And so you've got a number of moderates who are not running as well as they expected to be. And the question then is whether they should get out of the race and consolidate behind one moderate candidate. What they're trying to do is to stop Sanders from winning the nomination going into Super Tuesday, because if he maintains the lead that he has through Super Tuesday, it's going to be virtually impossible to catch him if he continues to rack up these numbers like he's doing now, because he'll have a plurality of the delegates going in July, and I don't know if any of the other moderates can stop him, particularly if they don't consolidate, because right now they're fragmented. And so it's a challenging time now for the Democratic Party, Ricky.
So do you think that on the subject of he considers himself a democratic socialist, do you think that the Republicans will try to use that to continue to instill fear into the Republican constituents?
They absolutely will. It's a huge concern. I mean, you've already seen ads showing that Sanders and his wife went to Russia for their honeymoon. The concern is that this label of democratic socialism will hurt a lot of down-ballot Democrats in the House and in the Senate. And so, the Democrats' control over the House is going to be challenged. There's 46 Democrats that are up for House seats that are in districts that they have refused to endorse Sanders because they're concerned that they're going to lose the conservatives and the moderates in their base. And so it really, really could affect the Democrats in unforeseeable ways right now, particularly in the House.
So do you think Bernie Sanders needs to just kind of move to the middle a little bit, like Clinton did, like President Obama? He didn't run too far to the left, kind of move over to the middle to get people excited. And do you think Andrew Gillum would be a great running mate, and that'll get folks out to the polls that did not show up during the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton?
Well, to the first question you asked, I don't know that Sanders can move towards the center. He's been espousing some of these progressive views for about 40 years, and to be honest, Ricky, that's one of the reasons he's so attracted to a lot of his base. But with respect to Gillum or even Stacey Abrams, who's also been mentioned by some as a potential running mate for Bernie Sanders, it would really help him to consolidate his support among women and among blacks. Because one thing that we saw in Nevada, for instance, is that although Sanders won the Nevada primary, he didn't get support of 75% of African-American voters. And so it's virtually impossible, I think, for us to consider that a Democratic candidate can win the election without having the 100% support of the African-American vote, who has been, a base of support for the Democratic Party forever, basically.
Right. Hey, Glennon, you got some time to stay on, because I got some people probably want to call in and have some questions.
Absolutely, I do.
All right, you can call us right now if you have any questions or any concerns or an opinion about the Democratic nomination as it goes full force now, because they're getting ready to go into South Carolina now. We got attorney, law professor, Glennon Threatt on the phone. Get out us 866-9-RICKEY, 866-9-RICKEY, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. Attorney Glennon Threatt, man, if you have any questions concerning politics or this whole election, Democrats are really, really nervous because they're not sure that Bernie Sanders can beat Donald Trump. Joe Biden is not getting any traction. Of course, I don't know if Pete Buttigieg or whatever, which I think is a great candidate, but I don't know if a lot of Americans are going to accept him because he has a husband, because people are just I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at people on Facebook, what they're saying about that. That's not my opinion. Okay, not my opinion. I'm just going by what people are saying, because I think that the country is still sexist because it ain't no reason why Hillary Clinton should have lost to Donald Trump. A lot of people didn't get out and they didn't show up. So we got to turn to Glennon Threatt. Glennon Threatt on the phone or whatever. Democrats are really, really, really nervous about, the choices that they have. We got Glennon Threatt on the phone. Good morning. Go ahead. You're on with Glennon Threatt.
I really don't think that Bernie Sanders has the support and the ability to win against Trump.
He doesn't have the amount of money to pay for this Medicare for all. If they didn't cheat him out of the election last time, he would have won.
Bernie Sanders, he's been straightforward since day one. It's not that the message goes left or right. It's the same way.
I believe that he has a lot of support from the millennials that's coming up, and it's going to be a larger voter turnout, especially from the African-American community and minorities.
He doesn't have enough African-American support, and honestly, I feel like he doesn't have a strong enough base to beat Trump.
Wow, Glennon, what you want to respond to some of those?
I do. I think it's very interesting, Rickey, because many people are saying that what Sanders is doing is that he's pulling the party too far to the left or to the progressive side. And so there's some concern that once it becomes a nominee, then will he be able to go back and get those moderate to conservative Democrats and add them to his support base? And also, more importantly, will he be able to get them out on Election Day? And many people believe that what will happen is that Sanders will create a groundswell of enthusiasm, that he'll get people who've never voted before, particularly young voters, out and increase the total number of voters, thereby increasing his ability to defeat Donald Trump. But, he's still beating Trump in the polls.
Right. So Glenn, let's talk about Donald Trump for a minute. Do you think Trump has turned off a lot of moderate Republicans?
He has, but I don't see those moderate Republicans. First of all, I don't see them voting for a Democrat. So the question becomes, are they going to stay home? And I don't think so. I mean, I think what we see from Trump's rallies, et cetera, that his base is energized. His support is higher than it was before the impeachment proceedings. And so I don't think that the Democrats can expect to win by hoping that Trump voters don't show up or cross over to vote for a Democrat. I think that the Democrats have to get out the vote, increase total voter turnout, and they need to particularly focus on those states because, remember, the Democrats won the popular vote last time, but they lost in the Electoral College.
Right. So Glenn, let me ask you this. Do the states like Wisconsin, which I don't think Democrats will win, but what about states like Michigan and Pennsylvania where the Democrats had a really good showing in the midterm elections? States like Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, Minnesota. What do you think about those states that Hillary Clinton barely lost, but they showed up in the midterm election?
Well, that's the concern, Rickey, because people would think that because of what's happening with respect to the tariffs and loss of manufacturing jobs in some of those states, that some of those voters could be picked off by a moderate Democrat. And so the question becomes whether or not Sanders will be able to go in those key states and get those moderates and so that we win the Electoral College votes that he needs, because he will probably win. The Democrat will probably win the popular vote. The question is whether or not the Democrat will win in the Electoral College. And those states that you just mentioned are critically important. And that's the fear, that because Sanders is a progressive, that he won't be able to broaden his base to include those moderate Democrats. And not only might he lose the presidential election, but some of those vulnerable Democrats might lose their House seats, and we could end up losing control of the House of Representatives.
Oh, wow. So it's a scary time. Yeah,
it's a very, very scary time, and particularly when you've got a lot of people who are still hanging around that some have referred to as the zombie candidates, people like Klobuchar and Warren, who are polling below the 15% that they need in these states in order to get any delegates in the primary. And so there's a lot of pressure on them to get out now.
And real quick before we go, what about Mike Bloomberg? Because you hear his advertisements everywhere on this show. He is all over the place. How do you see that playing out?
Well, it's a little early to tell because nobody's ever had the chance to vote for Bloomberg yet. I think his performance in the debate tomorrow is going to be critically important because he got eviscerated last week. And so his debate performance is critical. And then when we get to Super Tuesday, it'll be the first time that anybody will get to vote for him. And I don't I don't think we should assume that spending money on advertising will directly translate into votes, but we'll see.
All right, there it is. Hey, so Glennon, let everybody know how you can be reached.
You can reach me at G3 on Twitter, and if you follow me, I'll follow you back. Follow me.